Hi there. I just thought I'd jump on to maybe teach you or help you with a bit of conflict resolving through meditation. So, this is something that came to me a while back, and I used to work with people helping them to resolve conflict in their lives, and it's definitely helped me. And it reminded me because it kind of came up this morning in my meditation. It kind of came through naturally. So I believe that certain emotions and certain kind of feelings are held in different places in the body. And there's different points, and there's about 13 points in the body where I feel different emotions are kept. And so we're going to maybe think of a meditation, we'll see how it goes. And we'll see if it works. Now, it's not the easiest thing to do. We tend to go into a bit of a conversation about the person that we're in conflict with. But it is my belief that everybody does have certain qualities. Now, we could call them good or positive. I don't really like that expression so much because I don't think anger is bad. I don't think anxiety is bad. Depression or being stubborn is bad. They're all things. And if we didn't experience those things, we wouldn't experience the joy and the happiness either. So we're going to start off by thinking about maybe what might say the flip side, the things that we might have inside us from time to time, and I think we all will have these. Things like, inflexibility, being a bit stubborn. I know I can be that sometimes. Maybe a sense of distrust that I definitely have had in the past. Secrets, keeping things into ourselves, and definitely had that one. Anxiety, I would say I probably have suffered anxiety in the past, and that's very much in tummy area. The solar plexus is about kind of anger, frustration, that sort of thing. Heart space is kind of about not feeling good enough, that sort of thing. Throat is quite often about inability to speak, and quite often when I have an inability to speak, my throat kind of closes up, or I kind of clear my throat. Then sometimes we can be a bit uptight. I used to get really uptight in my arms and have a neck ache, that sort of thing. Lack of confidence, which might be more up here, and a sense of kind of pessimism, I suppose, above our head. So these are all the things that, yes, are there sometimes. And they're not wrong. And I don't want you to make yourself wrong about having these things. There's a normal part of life. But some are stronger than others in different people. But there is, I believe, a way that we can start resolving this for ourselves and for others. And it might even help in conflict. So let's maybe give it a go. So I'll just talk you through it and we'll see what comes. But just sit, or you can lie down if you want. Maybe have something under your head, maybe your knees bent, hands on your hips, that sort of thing. Just going to take a few deep breaths in through the nose, now out through the mouth. Maybe 3 times in through the nose, now out through the mouth, in through the nose, now out through the mouth. And then I just want you to just breathe gently in and out through the nose. But whenever you notice your mind wandering off onto a conversation about somebody or something, just literally tap yourself on the shoulder and congratulate yourself for noticing that your mind's wandered, your mind's gone off onto something else. That's completely normal. But we keep coming back to that sense of the ground supporting us, the sense of sound maybe around us. And keep coming back to your breathing. Notice if you're breathing in, if you're breathing out. And you can just name that to yourself and say, I am inhalation when I'm breathing in. I am exhalation when I'm breathing out. every time your mind wanders, tap yourself on the shoulder. Smile to yourself. Be kind to yourself and go, I noticed it was a thinking. Other times you might feel a pain in your body. It might be an emotional pain, or you might just say, oh no, I always get back pain. And you can just tap yourself on the shoulder and go, a feeling. And gently come back to the ground, to sound, and to breathing. Now we might do this for a couple of minutes, or even 5 minutes in silence, just noticing. And that could be the meditation itself, just there on its own. But we're going to just see what comes when we start to think about maybe somebody in our life that we might be in conflict with. So I'm just going to get you to sit there, or whatever position you're in, but you're going to imagine that you're sitting in front of a mirror. But instead of your own reflection being reflected back, it's this other person. And as soon as you think this other person that you might be in conflict with, I want you to just get a sense of what's happening in your body. You might stop breathing. There might be a tightness in your chest, in your belly, a sense of discomfort possibly. I just want you to recognise that. They're not doing anything, they're just sitting there reflecting back. And this is the thing, and sometimes when we're in conflict, we think, oh, they said this, they did that, we blame them, blah, 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 blah. That's fine, but what's going on for us? Can we reflect back on ourselves and say, what's going on for me? How do I feel in my body? You might not recognise that actually it's fear, it's anger. It could even be the same thing for the other person. So we're going to try this experiment and we'll see if it works. And it might take practice. But you're going to think of several lights in and around the body, and they're just going to have a quality. And if you notice that you go into conversation that might go something like, but the other day they said this and they really weren't that nice and they weren't that flexible and they weren't that kind, and just notice that. Don't make yourself wrong, it's normal, but just come back to the lights, because it's my view that everybody has these qualities in them. And the worst person you think in the world has these qualities deep down. We just don't see them. We see what's on the surface, which might be anger, anxiety, all sorts of other things. So you're just closing your eyes and picturing them now, noticing how you're feeling in your body. Then you're going to be aware, or maybe think of a light under their feet, maybe a foot to 3 feet under their feet. And it's a place where they might be keeping stuff from their past, holding on to stuff from the past. And you're just imagining a light there, and it's just enabling them to let go of their own past. Notice if you go into a story about it, let it go. And then coming to their ankles, you imagine a little light there, starting to appear, growing bigger and bigger, and it's representing the quality of flexibility. Notice how it was so easy to go into, yes, that they're not that flexible, and they said this the other day. Let it go. Coming up to the knees, between the front and the back of the knees. And this light's going to represent soft and reasonable. You know what I'm going to say. Let it go. And coming up to just beyond the tail, this light represents trust. And maybe you're suggesting that they can just maybe trust themselves a little bit more. And we're moving out to the hip joints, imagining the lights there. And this light represents transparency or openness. They might be keeping secrets to themselves about how they really feel. I also call this light, and it sounds a bit odd, intimacy. And if you break that word down, it's into me, see. into me, see. And it's a bit like they could just let you in. They could just let you really sense them. So it's a bit like opening up to vulnerability. Again, let go of the thoughts. Come back to the breath, come back to the ground. And as you picture them, you're thinking of a light now in their tummy. And that light represents calm. And there could be a very anxious person that you might not recognise that. You could be an anxious person, you might not recognise that, or you do recognise that. Just imagine a light there representing calm. So move up to the solar plexus, just at the end of your sternum there. And this light I call the three Ks. It represents courage for themselves, kindness to themselves, and compassion for themselves. Whether you think they've got it or not, you can think about it and let go of the conversation. So it moves up into the upper chest. A light there is representing good enough or pride. You can almost sense that they're opening their chest. And it's travelling out towards their armpits, and there's a sense of laid backness. Down towards their elbows, soft and reasonable, just like the knees. Down towards their wrists, flexible, just like the ankles. Even going out through their big thumb, the first finger, the middle finger, the fourth finger, and the little finger. And they're just opening their hands. You might notice that you had your hands clenched while holding on. That's fine too. But you can let go. You're still breathing. You notice this light travelling up through the neck. There's a light there, and it represents speaking our truth. It's almost if they could calmly speak their truth. Rather than getting angry, or this way, or frustrated, they could just gently, with love, speak their truth. And as this light passes up through the facial muscles, you're thinking of them smiling. There's a sense of contentment coming over them. You may have never seen that before, but I'm sure we have, and we can just imagine that. So it comes up through the facial muscles, behind the third eye, in the eyebrow point, top of the spine there. There's a sense of confidence. It's almost at the back of the head is just slightly rising. It comes up, and it's almost as if there's a hatch or a lotus flower opening the crown of the head, and this light's beaming out a sense of optimism. So now you're picturing them very differently. You may have gone into a conversation. Don't beat yourself up about it. This takes practice. You're picturing them as looking a bit more optimistic from the top down to the bottom. Confident, content, speaking their truth, sense of good enough, laid back, loving arms. Sense of courage, kindness to self, compassion, calmness, openness, soft and reasonable, flexible, and they've let go of the past. And I just want you to just imagine that now and see how you feel. It might have made a difference, might not. As I say, it takes practice. The key here is to not go into the conversation. And if you do, just acknowledge you did. Now I want you to imagine those lights have got so bright in that person. They're kind of moving throughout their body. And it's almost as if they're without outline, and that light is just moving out into kind of an egg shape around them. They're just a light body. Because it's a mirror, it's reflecting back on you, and that light body is kind of shining. It's almost sending a beam of light out into your body and filling you with light too. And we can imagine this light spreading from this place, filling the whole room. There's a light of loving kindness, which is an act that we've just done, even though we were in conflict with this person. And it travels down the street, and across the road and the street behind, through the ground and up to the sky, and all the beings that are there. goes down into the parklands, into the parks, down the cycle lanes and bus lanes, through the whole town and all the beings that are there. It's almost as if you're floating above yourself and you can see the whole town now, and the outskirts and the fields and the meadows, down the streams and the rivers and the lakes and the lochs. And a sense of loving kindness is travelling, travelling, travelling through the woodlands and all the beings that are there, to other towns and villages, maybe in the state or the county. So it keeps going, keeps going, keeps going, to the north, to the south, to the east, to the west. It's almost as if you're floating above and you can see the whole country now as it spills down, down to the beaches, down to the seabed. It keeps going, it keeps going, it keeps going. Coming across islands, other continents. Keeps going, keeps going. You might notice other people, maybe standing in front of a mirror or seated in front of a mirror, again, with that person that they're in conflict with, but seeing different qualities in them that they didn't see before. Optimism, confidence, contentment, speaking their truth, sense of good enough, laid backness, courage, kindness, compassion to themselves, calmness, openness, soft and reasonable, flexible. And they too are able to let go of their past as it keeps travelling this light across the planet. Halfway around the world, halfway around the world now. And we're wishing people well, free from suffering. Where there's sadness, let us sow love, joy even. Where there's anger, let us sow love. Where there's despair, let us sow hope. Where there's doubt, let us sow faith. So it keeps going, keeps going, keeps going. All the way round, all the way round to the other side. It's like a ripple effect. It's just coming across the planet. And you can place your own hand on your heart space, one underneath, and both those hands just touching the little finger, touching the thumb of the other finger. Just placing those hands, and this is compassion pose. It's really showing some compassion for yourself. And really just checking in, how am I now? Is that really difficult? Can I practice that again? But you might feel better. You might feel different about that person. You might feel different about yourself. Just ask the question. There's no incorrect answer. You might think you did it wrong if it was challenging. It wasn't challenging. This is challenging. It's not the easiest meditation, especially if you're not used to it. So that's the meditation. So I'll be really interested to hear how it went for you. I do a meditation group every day at 12 o'clock UK time. I'm in Brazil, but you're welcome to pop onto that as donations or free. Nobody's turned away. And it's kind of making quite a difference to people. It will be a different meditation every day because I channel it. So it depends on who's there and what's needed and that sort of thing. So I hope it's useful. Let me know. And take care. Lots of love. Blessings to all.